Alright, so let's start out this league, describing this league with a quick going. We're playing Mono Red Burn. This is a version I've been interested in exploring for a little while, just haven't quite gotten around to it, and that is the Chandra's Incinerator version of Mono Red Burn. This list is largely based off the work of Damien Desposito, and there's been a few other people who have put up some results with this deck. Basic premise, Chandra's Incinerator, the old card from M21, combining it with Arena of Glory, and trying to profit off of having more one-drops like Bolt Wave. So effectively you want either Seal of Fire or Rift Bolt in your opening hand, along with your copy of Chandra's Incinerator. Otherwise you're just looking for a functionable burn hand. The rest of the deck, Seal of Fire is here to enable Chandra's Incinerators conditions along with Rift Bolt. The rest of the deck, you could play this as a Boros shell if you really wanted to. But the mono red thing, obviously, a little bit more budget, etc., especially in paper. The rest of the deck, Bolt, Lightning Bolt, Goblin Guide, Swift Spear, Searing Blade, Skull Crack, Rift Bolt, Skewer the Critics. Nothing new for any type of, as anything about Modern or Burn. With it being a mono red deck, you are a little bit limited in your sideboard options. Magebane Lizard, obviously here for any type of storm or spell-based deck. Smash to Smithereens for any type of artifact nonsense, whether it be Affinity, whether it be Quarry Steel Cutter decks, whether it be, could even bring it in against Scion and Ruby Medallion, but, nice to have some amount of that. Searing Blaze and Searing Blood, mainly here against the energy and small creature decks. 4 copies of Leyline and Combustion. An interesting card that's in Demian's lists, so I figured we'd try it out. And then 2 copies of Exquisite Firecraft against any type of blue-based decks. That said, let's get into some matches and see how this deck does. Alright, here for our first match with Mono Red Burn. This hand, the Incinerator's almost a mulligan right now, especially in a 1-land, so we got a mulligan here. We'll keep this hand on 6, put back the Incinerator. So one thing we could have potentially done is we could have suspended Rift Bolt on 1, hoped to have drawn another red source, and then played Incinerator on 2, but I think, well, it's not impossible. I think it's a bit too high risk of a play. It looks like we might be up against Dimir Riptide, possibly. Kind of hard to tell just from a land, obviously, but. And opponent discards a card. So we would have hit the card we were looking for, but I guess this just looks like blue-black control. Or not blue-black control, just might be Murktide with Sorin's Ransom. Opponent fetches. Basic Island. Peek. Look at the top card of the target player. Look at a target player's hand. Draw a card. Okay. I feel like we're going to get hit by an Orcish Bowmasters here. Yep. No, sure. Put our opponent to 5. Comes the frog. Do another force. You do not. So pass. Okay, pitch a card, any card. Okay. Not the worst time for Incinerator. Might be one of the reasons why the original list by Damian Desposito decided to go for a more... I think they only had 3 Incinerators. Seems like a more refined list. I'm playing 4 in this list just to get a better idea of how the card actually performs, although this is definitely not a matchup you really want Incinerator against. So still 3 cards in hand. Murktide. Murktide indeed. Which counterspell could they possibly have up here? Obviously, if they have... Okay, they just have nothing. So definitely want the Firecrafts. One or more permanents control can target a spell or ability. And theoretically, we could bring these in, but then that adds even more bad top decks. I don't see Murktide bringing in hand disruption against us, so I think it might just be these 4 out and like these 5 in. Maybe shave a Searing Blood. Unfortunately, I'm working off a little bit of old data because I haven't really played Modern in a couple weeks. And some of the videos I've been posting on the channel but were from like a week or 2 ago. Just work taking its toll on recording time. So this is the first league in the Final Fantasy release things. So if you're watching videos and going, this one doesn't seem like the current meta or anything, that's part of what's going on. We put back this hand once again with an only 1 lander. Once again, only 1 lander, but I think we put back a Skewer the Critics. A lot of this matchup in any Murktide style matchup depends on pressure versus disruption. So if they don't, if they don't have a frog here on 2, which looks like they might, it's very easy for us to sit back and do nothing. But unfortunately, they have the frog on 2. So if we don't draw a second land here, we're going to be very hard pressed to do enough damage before they can easily cross the finish line. But Burn is very much a resource-heavy deck. So while you can really afford to mulligan once, beyond that, you're really, unless it's like an extremely unfunctionable hand, you're better off just, gambling on the one lander after a mulligan to 6, especially on the draw, and hoping to draw more lands. Obviously, we're only running 18 lands in this deck, so. Okay, so the opponent does apparently have Thoughtseize in their deck. Or possibly, I guess this could be... Okay, sure. Alright. SMH, shaking my head. Because I'm just dumbfounded that people would bring in trash like this against Burn. That's very much an anti-combo, anti-graveyard thing, and Burn just doesn't play those kind of things. I mean, yes, they get some information and potentially could nab a card from my hand. If they'd chosen Skewer the Critics instead, they would have gotten a card. You know, more power to them, but... Let's see if they have a Stern Scolding here. Counterspell. Not really much we can do about that one, but... Another frog. So probably eat a counter spell. Presuming they have a second basic island, which they do. Yep, that's fine. It's kind of funny, they thin our deck and we're still not drawing lands. So we have 17 of 47, so 34. Sure. So it doesn't seem like they have a removal spell. Okay, if you have a third frog, why on earth wouldn't you attack with both frogs? Especially if you have an additional counter spell. Just going to continue playing the game to see what other oddball cards our opponent might have in their deck. Almost a useless card against us. Almost. Let's just go ahead and concede. Do we make any adjustments? Just don't think Incinerator does much. Combustion doesn't do much. And yes, they have removal spells, but they can also blank Goblin Guide easily by Frog or Murktide, and even potentially either Oculus or Bone Masters if they're in their deck. They're not really an artifact deck. Searing Blaze, Searing Blood, kind of mostly useless in this situation. You could argue Searing Blaze is a little bit better than Skullcrack, but a little bit more temperamental too, so I think we just, even though they've seen our configuration, I don't know if there's a whole lot we can do about changing things around much, so. Sounds fun. We'll try it. Guess we'll leave on. There's no single card in our hand that can get extirpated, so. We have no reason to do anything. Opponent wants to shock stuff in to represent stuff, that's fine. Once again, if you don't present any clock, I'm not under any obligation to make a move, so. Card they're most likely to have here is probably either Spell Pierce or Spell Snare. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Opponent's going to make a move. Alright, so we should have, I think, enough to make another turn cycle here. Sure. I could have Force of Negation, which is unfortunate, but I don't think it particularly matters here. It is possible we're dead to the cycle if they have enough instants in hand. Okay, there's the Force of Negation there. All right. And do you have another one? You do not. Nice to pick up a win against Murktide. Match number 2. This hand looks interesting. We'll keep it. Sand is nice because we don't have to deploy everything immediately. So if we happen to draw an Incinerator, I can actually go like Goblin Guide, or play Seal of Fire, Lava Spike on turn 2, still continue to curve out, and if we happen to draw, Incinerator, we can go, Seal of Fire, Lava Spike the following turn with Arena of Glory, smack our opponent out of nowhere. Incinerator builds are a little bit trickier to manage. It's been a while since I played them. Good old-fashioned zoo. All right, well. Fable of the Mirror Breaker in Zoo. When are they playing Fable? Monkey. Monkey goes goodbye. The problem with Zoo specifically for the mono red version is if they have the combo, which looks like they do, I don't know that we can win. Like if they have a second land, this game's effectively over already. That's even if they didn't have a Scion already in their hand to open the game. But I wonder why they're playing Fable the Mirror Breaker now. They notably don't have another land. Okay, well, let's do the best we can, I guess. And another land they don't have, so... they're going to have to fetch here. You top something because I can only assume that's a land. So put them to 1, they go back to 5. I don't know if there's a way we can actually get back into this game. We needed to draw a direct damage spell there. So play land and pass. Zoo matchup is basically unwinnable if they have Scion plus Leyline for the mono red build. I mean, I guess we could technically overpower it with an Incinerator, but it doesn't seem particularly likely. So what options do we even have in the post-board configuration? 2 smashes and 2 Searing Bloods, maybe, or Searing Blazes. Skullcrack situationally could be okay, but you're really only delaying the inevitable against Scion. So maybe this isn't the best configuration, but we really needed to win that game before they got Scion in line. They stumbled on lands for a turn. We had a chance, but then we kind of hit 2 land drops and die. So. Mulligan. Gotta be disciplined. This hand's fine. We'll keep it. Back Arena of Glory for now. Of course, the opponent has Scion, or has the ley line. If they have Scion, this game's also already over. Okay, another ley line, sure. Arena of Glory would be a pretty decent draw here. So clearly, it seems that they don't have land plus Scion, because I think that's just an automatic slam. Perhaps if they have a second land, perhaps they're debating, if they don't have Scion, deploying something like a Territorial Kavu, or maybe they just have tap lands. I'm going to hit them like a smooth criminal. Dun, 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 dun. Now I'm going to attack with Swizzle Spear here first, in case their removal spell is Leyline Binding specifically. The reason for doing this is if they have Leyline Binding, they're almost guaranteed to use it, but it doesn't look like they do. So instead we play Seal of Fire, and hope Chandra's Incinerator resolves. Now, if they played Patient and they have Leyline Binding in their hand, more power to them. And they did. Now if they have Scion, it's just GG. So we can deal them 6. Go to 4, back up to 8. Yeah, there's just no way we can keep up, so. Alright, now this is an interesting hand. You have the possibility of Swift Spear, but you also have the opening of Rift Bolt into Bolt Wave plus Incinerator. Obviously, we'll take a look and see, you know, what deck your opponent's on. We'll determine which one makes more sense. And then, if for some reason we happen to top deck Arena of Glory, so Belcher of some kind. I'm somewhat familiar with these mono red Belcher lists, but Char Belcher. If they tap out for Belcher, can we just kill them? Yeah, I think so. Mono red Belcher. Sure. Guess we could be dead there if they have Iron Crag feet. Which we can't outrace turn 3 anyway, so. Glimpse the Impossible. It's like Mono Red Ruby Storm, maybe? Crunch. So this just looks like a weird variant of Ruby Storm. Two smashes makes sense. Mage Man Lizard makes sense. Skull Crack, not so much. Shave one Incinerator on the draw. Yeah, I'm beginning to think that Demian's build with 3 just makes sense. Sand is hecka awkward. Um, we'll keep it. Hoping Magebane Lizard does enough work. Basically, it's putting Arena Glory in to play tapped on 1, Fire Island on 2, played Magebane Lizard. Come on. Land. Here we go. Into Belcher. Yep. Let's get a look at their deck. Okay, so they're just the Storm Scale deck with Ruby medallions in the mix. They don't even really have creatures other than Sundering Broods or Sundering Scale Storm Scale Scion or whatever. So probably can just get these Serum Blazes out of our deck. Healing of Combustion. Multiple those in an opening hand could be dangerous for our opponent, but seems not the best card to bring in. Next thing, Goblin Guide is just a freebie. Goblin Guide. Decent chance we die this turn, but we'll do what we can. Yeah, Iron Crag Feet probably guarantees our death. Guess it depends on what their win con is. If their win con is Stormscale Scion, I think we're fine. If it's not, then... because I don't think that has haste. No, it's just a lot of power. into not exactly the time to be a burn player.